Guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Thato and you're most definitely welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm introducing a new series to the channel. I am doing the series makeup and movie reviews, and I just decided to add the new series because I don't want my content to get a little bit stale and I wanted to add a new dimension to the channel. So this is it. I hope you guys enjoy it. In this series, I'll be doing my makeup while reviewing a movie. In today's video, we are reviewing the movie Fatherhood. It is a Netflix film based on a true story and it was released on the 18th of June 2021 on Netflix. Every single product that I'll be using in this video I'll link in the description box below, just because, you know, to make this video efficient, we're not trying to be mentioning the products and then also describing the movie, just so we can have, you know, like one good flow of events. So I'll link everything down in the description box below. The film is directed by Paul Witz, who is an American movie producer and director, and he has also directed movies. On his list of movies that he's directed is American Pie. I feel like that was a popular movie of its time. It was released in 1999, and also About a Boy, released in 2002. I haven't seen any of those movies, or I can't really think of a Paul Witz movie that I've actually seen, but those are the list of, well, that's two of some of the movies that he's actually directed. This movie is in the genre comedy drama, but obviously most of us do expect it to have a comedy element when a name such as Kevin Hart is associated with the movie. I think most of us usually look at the title of a movie and the cover and also just the description and sort of just make up what we think the movie is about, especially based on the title. But the title is actually quite self-explanatory. It's about fatherhood, and also the description describes this briefly, that it's a journey of a father who is now going to, you know, he's a new father and he's going to learn all about fatherhood as he raises his child. As I've already mentioned, Kevin Hart is the main actor in this film, and he's a very well-known comedian, so we already know that we are about to get some laughs out of this movie. Some of the movies that he's done that I also really enjoyed, because I'm a big fan of Kevin's work, are Night School, Jumanji, and also Central Intelligence as well. Some of the main characters in the movie as well are Alfre Woodard and Lil Ray Howery, and I absolutely enjoyed Lil Ray's performance in Get Out. So I also knew that, you know what, he's an impressive actor, he understands the assignment and he'll get the job done. He's definitely the perfect sidekick that they could have chosen for Kevin, or best friend, however you see it, in this film. So the movie starts at a funeral. The opening scene of the movie is a funeral setting, and Matt is standing at the podium and supposedly delivering a speech. He's very sad and, you know, at an emotional low. And it is at this point that you realize that this movie is actually going to be having some sad moments that are rolled in there, and there is going to be some drama element to it. So you can already see that. This opening scene is very sort of short-lived and quickly switched to a scene from earlier. So earlier being, they don't really say how much earlier, but we can assume as a viewer that it was about a few days, a week, less than 2 weeks earlier than, you know, this funeral setting. And in this scene, Matt, the character played by Kevin Hart, is with his wife Liz, and they're at their doctor's appointment. She's pregnant, so they're seeing their gynecologist, and this is just 2 weeks before the actual due date of the baby. So before she's actually expected to be giving birth, right? And the gynecologist says, okay, the baby is healthy, but your amniotic fluid is low, so we just need to deliver the baby, and I don't see why we can't, because baby's normal weight, normal healthy. But because the baby's breached, we're going to have to do a cesarean. So obviously, like, this is like very quickly, like, when are we gonna need to do this? And she's like, tonight
or this evening. Why haven't you even set up the crib? I didn't even do. Are you
serious? And so this is kind of where we're introduced to the unprepared side of Matt, or you know, this chill laid back guy who doesn't do things on time or before time, because then he panics and he's like, oh my gosh, tonight I can't believe it, I haven't set up the cot yet. And yeah, we can kind of see that, okay, you're a first time dad, you don't know what you're doing, we don't know why you let it off till the end. Was good, you know, you don't, like, what's going on, like, why did you do that? And Liz is even like, I shouldn't have trusted you with this, like, I should have just done it myself. It's the following day after the baby gets delivered, and the nurse comes in with a wheelchair to get Liz and Matt to go see their daughter. So Liz is the one who's going to be on the wheelchair because she just had an operation. And as they're helping her on the wheelchair, she collapses, and then she's having trouble breathing. The whole situation escalates very quickly. Matt is pushed out of the ward, and he is, soon after that, the doctor comes out to let him know that his wife had pulmonary embolism, and so they weren't able to save her, essentially. This scene is very, you know, he's very sad and devastated, and then his mother-in-law comes, and then she gets very sad and dramatic. And the music also plays effects to this. So at this moment, I cried real tears. Like, I cried the first time I watched this film because I was like, this is way too sad. The funeral was also very, very sad for me. Like, the whole thing was obviously escalated by the choice of music, the perfect choice of music, selection of music that they made. And honestly, I was very emotional. Like, the first time I watched this movie, I cried a lot. So after losing his wife while delivering their baby, Matt is faced with the reality that he's going to have to raise this child all by himself, right? So not only is he faced with embarking on fatherhood, being a first-time father, but he's also faced with having to, you know, be a single parent, and he has to learn all this very quickly. He has to, you know, do it alone, and basically his family and friends don't really think he can do it. They really don't have much faith in him being able to do it.
He's not ready for a baby.
I don't know how you're gonna do this.
But Matt is very set in his ways, and he's like, this baby is my baby, and I'm going to raise this baby myself. And that is what Liz would have wanted. So I'm actually going to raise this baby myself. So he denies sort of the help or the full involvement of the grandparents, because both his mom and mother-in-law actually wanted him to move back home so they can be more involved with the kid and help him raise little Maddie. One person who's really on the opposition team, well, she says she's on his side, but she really doesn't have much faith that he can do it, and so she really wants to be super involved, is Marion, his mother-in-law. Marion is like, you're not going to mess up raising my only grandchild, so you better let me get involved, because I don't think you're going to do the right thing. And so he's struggling to sort of get Madeline to kind of back off a little bit and let him handle the situation, let him experience it and raise the child by himself. Madeline was so insistent on, like, either he moves home so they can help him raise the kid, or she moves in with him for at least the first 6 months of the child's life. Now, obviously, he felt like 6 months was a bit excessive, and so he's like, just please give me a chance, let me raise the child, and if I do need help, I'll let you guys know. So he finally is able to get Madeline to back off a little bit, just a little bit, give him a little bit of space, let him do it himself, and she checks in every now and then, but she finally agreed to let him have the space and the chance to raise the child. A small detail that I realized though, that I saw though when Marion was leaving, is that the child, Maddie, his baby, was a different Madeline. Like, and I'm not even talking, because the child does grow in the movie, so obviously through different stages it's going to be a different child, but the baby was within the same baby state or age, and it was a different baby. And I don't know, that sort of kind of disturbed me. Like, I was like, were we not supposed to see that? Were we not supposed to notice? It's not that obvious, but I was like, I don't know. I saw it twice. I saw it twice where I saw that this baby Madeline is not the same baby Madeline. Like, they put in substitute baby Madeline. Once Matt finally gets the chance to sort of raise the baby by himself, his two best friends and wingmen basically sort of help him through most of it, because child, it was bad, it was funny, it was just frustrating. It was, those moments were really more like the funny moments. Like, they were just trying to get through doing the smallest of things together, like setting up the baby's cot, or like putting in the baby's chair in the car, like the car seats, and they're just like, the three of them are just trying to figure everything out. Matt has some good moments, some victory moments, some funny moments with his child, and he's really just learning as he goes. They're just winging it sometimes with the friends, you know. Sometimes they take the child to the game, sometimes he forgets his child at the mall parking lot, but generally he's doing his best. He's surviving, he's coping. He takes some wins and some losses. Obviously he's really just learning as he's going, but obviously single parenthood is not easy, and so he kind of has a breaking point where he's like, I don't even know what I'm doing, what's going on. So he goes for parents, like a support group for parents, single parents basically. In the session, he just like sort of spills his guts. He's just lashing out. He's like, I don't even know how to do this. I don't know what this is about. I don't know why this baby can't stop crying.
I need the crying to stop. How do I make the crying stop?
So Matt is really just having some wins, having some losses, as most parents do, going through, you know, this life thing of raising a child, raising a whole separate human being outside of you, and just sort of hoping for the best. And obviously he does have some mishaps. Like, one time he forgot about a doctor's appointment, but luckily Marion was there to save the day. And he also had a very understanding boss, so he could bring in his child to work. Although I felt like this was just a little bit too exaggerated in the movie, because like at some point, I mean, I guess he did sort of almost face the repercussions, but it was a little bit, it was pushed too far. Like, he had a baby in his, like, skin to skin while he was doing a whole boardroom presentation. I was like, this is a movie stuff. This is not real life. No ways. No ways. I know the boss is understanding, but this is just taking it too far. So Madeline is growing, and soon she goes off to kindergarten, and obviously a school is a whole separate system. There's a sort of rules, but some of them she's not really liking, and the dad is not being too strict with her. But all in all, life is going on. He's starting to kind of get the hang of things now. They're living well together, just the two of them. And I think at this point Maddie is probably 5. Oscar sees that, no man, I need to set up my friend on a date. So on one of his on his child's birthday, yeah, he sets up another friend of his for Matt. Yeah, so basically sort of like a unplanned blind date situation meeting. And funny enough, her name's also Liz.
My name's Liz.
I don't know how I feel about that. It's just weird. I feel like there was no need. I feel like I see how this could have possibly been a trigger for him, but I don't see why she should have been Liz. Like, I just don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like it. But she's a nice person, so they go on an actual date and soon after start dating, because I mean, life goes on. So Matt, he's starting to kind of slack and forget about certain things that he did with his daughter, or you know, some of the things that need to be done really.
You forgot the 2 kisses.
Because now he has divided attention. You have a girlfriend to pay attention to and a daughter, as opposed to just a daughter before. Meanwhile, Maddie is also growing and sort of getting in trouble at school. And one time she had an accident at the school playground and had to be rushed to hospital, and the dad was not there to pick up his call because he was busy. So when he finally realizes that, oh my god, I almost missed, you know, my child going to hospital and this whole experience because, well, I guess I was busy with my girlfriend, and he feels like this relationship is becoming a bit of a distraction and he's not being 100% there for his daughter as he usually is, so he cuts it. That's his solution. With all of this going on, the workplace also becomes more demanding.
To go to Croatia.
Croatia?
And he soon feels like he's not giving Maddie what she needs. You know, he needs to do better by her. And so he decides the best thing to do is to send her to, you know, her grandparents' place to be raised by Liz's parents. He's not taking the separation well, but he obviously doesn't like let it show, or he doesn't speak up about it, but his friends are like, we can definitely see that he misses her, you know, it's not the same without her. And soon he realizes, like, he's like, I need to raise my daughter. I cannot be the perfect parent, but I can try. And that's all that matters, you know. Every day is a learning experience, and as long as I can try and keep on doing better, that's all that matters. In the end, Matt realizes that he wants to raise his daughter himself, and you know, with all the trials and tribulations, he's like, I'm gonna do my best, and that's all that matters. I really miss my child. I want to be with my child. So he goes to fetch her, and you know, they have a happy little hugging moment. Together, they decide that they need to get Lizzie back in their lives. Because remember, he decided alone that he feels that she's a distraction and what's causing him to slack in the fatherhood department, while the daughter's like, well, I like her, so like, can you please get her back? And they did. Of course, he got the girl in classical happy ending style. You know, he had to get his child and get his girlfriend. But I actually think this is a good story. The storyline, I think it's a good story to tell. It's very much like a story worth telling. Parenthood is not an easy journey, especially if you're going through it alone. So I think the story deserves to be told. And you find that within the black community there's a lot of absent fathers, so that is just such a play to the black community. So it's beautiful to see a story of a man who is determined to raise his own child, you know, by fire, by force, like whatever it takes. I am going to learn, and I am going to be present for this child, and I am going to, you know, I'm determined to be a good father to this child. Even though the character himself, Matt, says he did not have a good father figure, so he doesn't have a role model. He actually knows what not to do, you know, so how not to be a bad father, or how not to be an absent father. In a funny weird way, this movie actually reminds me of Fatherhood, so that film starring Angela Bassett, where three moms are so, like, they kind of had to shift their mentality from being mothers to being other, because their sons are so grown, they've moved out of the house, and all they did was be housewives. and raise their kids, and now they don't know like how to not be a mother. So how do I step away from, you know, the role that I've played all my life and try not to like smother my kid or not to bother them too much, because they're grown men and they need their own space. And it's funny that this movie reminds me of it, because they're so opposite. Like they're not so opposite, they're actually like two sides of a different coin, two sides of the same coin. And yeah, in the other one, Kevin is just trying to find out like, how do I go from just being me to being a dad? And in the other one, they go from how do we move from being moms to being us? So it's literally like a reverse type of system. This film is described as a comedy drama, but I find that it is not. It's more of a drama than a comedy. So it's 15% comedy and yeah, more like 10 to 15% comedy and about like 85% drama. It was so sad for me, especially the first time watching it. You know, find that it's more drama than a comedy really, but it is, both elements are there. But usually when you see a movie starring Kevin Hart as the lead actor, well, my thought was that it will be more comedy, or at least 50-50 comedy and drama. But in this case, it was more of a comedy. It was more of a drama than a comedy, but nonetheless still a good movie. I will rate this movie a solid 7 out of 10, with 0 being don't bother watching and 10 being you absolutely cannot miss it. I think it's an absolute like 7, a rigid 7, or even better, like a 7.5. The acting was amazing. The acting was absolutely amazing, all the way from Maddie to everybody on the cast. Every single person on that cast understood the assignment. They did their job. The story flowed beautifully. The choice of music was amazing. The picture quality, the editing, and the set was as good and realistic as it can be. The first time I watched it, I cried, and I'm sure you will too. Fatherhood is out now on Netflix, so check it out.
If there's one piece of advice I could give you about bringing up a kid, let go.